to our focus group interview. My name is Mark, along with my three colleagues, William, Jacob, and other guy. Yeah. So we're gonna today we're gonna ask you some questions about the healthcare. So the first question is, do you currently insure? Do you have a medical insurance now? We order from the lab too, right?
I do not know.
Is anybody taking
Not
notes?
even student.
Well, just the student.
Take notes. Well, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, through like ASUs.
Okay.
Yeah, I do the student.
Me too.
And do you satisfy your current medical insurance?
No, it's suck.
So,
No, they're
I don't use it. If I have it, I don't know if I have it. We have
You
some
have to
through.
enroll for it.
Okay, well then I never enrolled.
It's ridiculously expensive and like limited as well.
take pieces. And how often you visit the doctor?
At least twice weekly.
Do you
I
really?
have medical problems.
Okay.
Okay.
Not that often, probably like once or twice a semester. I don't know. Yeah, like once or twice, not very often.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you have a transportation option to the hospital? Like you drive or?
Yeah, I haven't gone to the hospital, but like I would drive rather than like take an ambulance because it's so expensive.
Oh,
I usually drive myself, or I've had people call Ubers for me.
okay.
I couldn't tell you the last time I've even been to the doctor.
That was like 5 years ago.
Probably. Yeah, maybe more than that actually. I remember the last time I had to see a doctor and what the issue was, and then since then I haven't seen one.
Wow. Congrats.
So how long is the commute time to the hospital for you guys?
From home, it's like 15 minutes.
15?
Probably the same, yeah.
5-10 minutes.
Not that bad. So, no.
Can't answer that for you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't know.
Is it good or bad for 15 minutes? I think it's alright. Right?
Yeah.
It's okay. Like the only thing is like because ambulances and everything is so expensive. Like if you actually have a problem, you're gonna be struggling to like get to the hospital, even though it's only 15 minutes away.
I found it's too close to justify paying getting there, but I've driven when I really shouldn't have because I couldn't concentrate because of pain before.
Jeez. Okay. How much do you pay for the medical insurance?
$1,500
For 1 year?
a semester, plus $1,500 out of pocket. $3,000 if they're in network.
Wow.
Yeah, that was I paid. We're all on the same student
Yeah, we're on
loan
the same
type
thing.
In Canada, for reference, I paid $28 a month for unlimited everything.
Oh, they have universal healthcare system.
Yeah, yeah.
So everybody's free.
And I actually got, with like my work insurance, I got paid $150 a month to like spend it on things that made me happy for like mental health.
Maybe you happy.
Okay. Damn, I love Canada.
Oh, yeah.
God, they're so good.
That's the best part. How do you think about your overall experience when you visit a physician? From a scale 1 to 5, 1 is the worst, 5 is the best.
When I visited,
Yeah.
yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
99% of the time, they're terrible. 1% of the time, I get a doctor that does something good.
Okay, so that's a 1. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the doctor, but because they get paid so much here, they're typically pretty competent.
Yeah.
They just rush people through a lot here.
And they ignore your symptoms and ignore your problems.
Yeah, that could be the case.
It's like a 4.
Four.
Yeah.
I think it's 3 to 4.
3 to 4. Okay. Have you heard DPC before? DPC stand as
Direct primary care.
Yep. Have you heard before? No. 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 Okay, it's a good time to learn. Well, DPC. Let me read my things. So, the direct primary care, also known as DPC model, gives family physicians a meaningful alternative to fee-for-service insurance billing typically by charging patients a monthly, quarterly, or annual fee. This fee covers all or most primary care services, including clinical and laboratory services, consulting services, care coordinations, and comprehensive care management. Because some services are not covered by a retainer, DPC practices also suggest that patients acquire a high deductible wraparound policy to cover emergency. And this is not an insurance. So basically our client is like they developed like an app, so you can make appointments with the doctor through your phone. You can talk to them on your phone, and also it's a very secure platform. So how do you think about it?
So it's basically skipping insurance, and you're just paying your doctor directly.
You basically like you pay like an annual fee or is it like a subscription things?
So it's like your doctor becomes your insurance provider.
It's not insurance, so it's just like
It's
it's a primary care.
It's a direct plan with your
Right, it's
Yeah.
a healthcare package. It's a
Yeah.
service package.
But it's
How
not
much you pay every month to get like a patient portal. But through this patient portal, you can have like prescription, you can make appointments.
Yeah.
You can pretty much do everything, but it just makes it more convenient. Just do everything on your phone.
Yeah.
Or
With
anything
your
is-
doctor.
Yeah, computers. Yeah.
So how do you think about?
I think it's good because sometimes in America it's hard to make appointment with doctor, and maybe sometimes the time is like a conflict. So I think it's so convenient because we can just like use our phone to make appointment and like ask all the questions about our health. So I think it's good for me.
I'd have to know like more of the details about like finances and stuff like that, and like what's covered and what's not. But I'm open to it. Like, why not look into it?
I think it would be good depending on like the individual and like where they lived and their like socioeconomic status. But like if you go to certain like impoverished or rural areas, like I don't know if it would work as well. Like the quality of care would be a lot worse. And like depending on how it would work, like if that person was traveling and I think there's just like a lot of variables, and it might like increase costs, like for like healthcare costs overall because everything is so variable.
The scheduling, if it could be like with any doctor, I think it would work great, cause I've been trying to get the Mayo Clinic to call me back for 3 weeks and they won't. Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
have,
my main issue.
yeah, well, my experience, I have to, I made an appointment with Mayo, but I have to wait like 3 months. Like, how is that?
Well, see, I mean, you say that you can get on and schedule the appointment, but what if it's booked out 3 months no matter what? Like, that's not gonna change, you know, that's just part of what it seems to be is the medical industry anymore. It's a busy industry, and they're trying to take care of a lot of people that have these chronic or reoccurring or existing conditions. So I think it's winter, like somebody like her who has to go twice a week, you know, how does that work for her when she already knows she has to come twice a week, and they already, like, you know, as the doctor's office, they know she's coming in twice a week, depending on what anybody's situation is. So I think like he said, it's dependent on the individual, it's dependent on where you're trying to book through,
Yeah.
and how does that gain access to any certain doctor or clinic or.
Yeah.
I do think one thing that would help is seeing available appointment times and like what can be fit into that appointment. I've gone back and forth with doctors before to have scans done, only to find out I booked an appointment and they can't do it at that time because they don't have the doctors in, and it takes like months because I don't know all available times, and I have to meet it with my schedule, and it's hell.
Yeah. Okay, another question is, what do you expect to get most from the experience during services? Like, what do you expect to get from the appointment through the phone?
Like in office visits, what do I expect?
Or
to-
over the phone?
Yeah, the DPC, from the DPC.
So it would be, like the appointments would be done through the phone, not necessarily like in person.
Yeah.
Quality care and like time spent, like I think the biggest thing with doctors is like, especially like primary care physicians, is like the more people they see, the more they get paid, so they kind of have an incentive to rush through as many patients as possible. And like as a result of that, sometimes they don't listen to people or don't catch things. So I would just like to see that they listen and understand and like respect symptoms and like kind of work with the patient. Yeah.
Depending on the issue, part of me wonders if like the quality is gonna be worse actually. Cause for me, like, I don't wanna Skype somebody and just have them be like, oh, well, where does it hurt? And then they say, well, it hurts on the top of my knee. Like they can't, like if I've got a muscle injury and they need to like physically feel where I'm injured or what hurts and what doesn't, then I wonder if they're better, if they're not as able to diagnose what's going on, because they're not there.
Off of that, I think if you're doing it over the phone, they should especially be trained in recognizing symptoms for problems. Because like if I go to the doctor and I tell them all my symptoms, they usually like just circle the first thing that pops up on their computer, whereas usually that's not it. So I'm like being able to listen to him and actually listen, like see what the problems are, even if you're not physically there, and like be like, okay, well these are a bunch of options that it could be, and then if you have to go somewhere in person, but be able to like give you options rather than just be like, it's this, and then send you home.
Yeah. I think it might work for like updates and stuff like that, but maybe
Yeah.
not for like
The
the
primary.
very first visit.
Yeah, so on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 is uncomfortable, 5 is comfortable. How do you think you will be comfortable communicating with a physician on the phone at 1 to 5?
I think it's 4 because I use this kind of like app in China. Sometimes I don't feel like so comfortable. It's like my mental health. It's about my mental health. So I just want to ask some questions about doctor because I'm just curious about that. So, but actually I don't have like some really like hurt or something like that. So I think I can pick 4.
Yeah.
Probably like a 4 or 5. Like I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah. Same.
4 or 5.
Yeah, and typically how long to take you to learn using a new app, like when you download a new Tinder things? How do you learn? How long?
How long the learning curve?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
feel satisfied with how long the learning?
Usually doesn't take long at all.
Yeah. 10 minutes, 5
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Quick
It's
reads.
over.
Yeah. We are sometimes, so we are pretty smart. Yeah. Have you used the patient portal before? On the phone. On the phone.
For
Patient portal.
like ASUs or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like any
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never go to hospital, so.
The last time I was in a hospital was 2010.
Okay, that's like a smartphone.
ASU last
They
year,
didn't
had
have
that
that.
information this year.
Excellent.
From that.
And let's see, if you use DPC apps like from our client, what functions do you expect them to have?
I mean, so that's another thing that Canada actually has now as well. Is it's called like TELUS Health. So you just like everyone has this their like government healthcare card and stuff like that, and you can just enter it into that health app, and you can have Skype sessions with your doctor. I know people that have done it, and they like they can write prescriptions, they do everything. It's the same thing as a doctor's office. It's just like done virtually. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
So what functions do you expect to have on that?
On the app?
Yeah.
I think somebody to chat with. Like, I don't. If my question is really fast, I don't want to have to call, wait for 10 minutes to talk to a human, and then have them answer the question in 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and then just hang up.
Yeah.
Like, if I can just chat with them really quick, I prefer that. And then I don't know, depending on like your insurance plan or whatever the plan is, like how much have you spent, how much do you have until you've met your deductible or your maximum out of pocket or whatever, stuff like that.
I think something like similar to like a WebMD type thing, where you could look up like whether you're just chatting with someone or just looking up to like, should I go to the hospital with this, or is this something that's common? Because most of the time I've spoken to doctors on the phone, it's figuring out, do I need to go to the hospital or should I just wait it out? And it's always the
I
hospital.
think that will be counseling service.
Yeah, and consulting, definitely along those same lines. I mean, how quickly can they respond to the questions that you do have? It's like the big thing.
Okay. On top of that, what's the other options you comfortable with, like such as like phone calls or text messages, beside the online chat the apps? Do you prefer those two things? Text message, text.
Yeah. I mean, I like Skype session, looking to see it.
If you, like if
Yeah, if I'm seeing them, definitely. I want to maybe have a visual connection to where they can see, and it just adds that like a sense of security element to the.
Yeah, I don't wanna go in and have them tell me that I have an appendicitis when it's just, I don't know, a broken bone or something like that, right? It's
Either way, you
something
wanna
crazy,
go to the
right?
hospital.
Yeah, I wanna go to the doctor and talk to him and figure that out, just 'cause, I don't know, that's me.
Yeah.
Alright, we're almost done. And the last part is, if we provide you with a field trial subscription for 1 month, which is like a freemium models, would you try to use it?
Maybe.
It depends on if I have an issue or not.
Yeah.
Same.
Probably not.
You don't have free money.
I don't. Well, no, not that. I just don't have issues.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
why would?
Must be nice, bro.
You should go to the doctor just to check.
You need to go to the hospital right now.
I
There's
feel
a health
fine.
clinic, like,
I woke
5
up.
seconds
I feel
away.
good. It's like that. Looks like it's a normal day. Let's keep moving.
Yeah, the second question is, this is not applied, but I will still ask. If you like a service after the free trial, would you pay to subscribe services? Depends on the needs, but, yeah.
Depends on the needs and it depends on the situation too, like, if I have something where it's chronic and like there's going to be a lot of doctor's visits, then yeah, it would be convenient. Like I've been diagnosed, I've seen a doctor in person, and now this is just follow-up visits, then I'd go for it. If I was a student, the answer would be no, because I don't have I'm on the student health plan, I don't have money to do this.
Yeah.
So it would just depend on those kinds of circumstances.
Okay. If we're going to provide 3 different products, the first one is basic, which basically has the minimum coverage and the services provided. Basic Plus has a better coverage and the services provided. And the premium has the most coverages and the services provided. How much would you pay these 3 different products? From the basic to basic plus, and premium.
I think I
The
want,
monthly.
like,
Monthly.
basic, please.
Yeah, but how much?
I'm not sure because I don't know like about the other plans, like how much for the other plans.
$20, $40, and $60.
Yeah.
So for all of these, can you only see this one physician?
No, you can book anyone as long as they have the availability.
I'd probably do like 50, 100, 150.
Monthly.
Well, for healthcare, like if it's like, and they can write you prescriptions and stuff, like I think that'd be good.
I'd say 100 as long as it's applicable to like an out-of-pocket type thing.
Oh yeah, like it counts towards it.
Yeah, because I spend more than that on just normal doctor's visits in a month, but then like one surgery costs me at like a couple $1,000, and then I don't wanna pay an extra 100 a month on top of that.
I like the 20, 40, 60 kind of.
I-
It's nice, it's smooth. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, if I have a problem and I need to see a doctor or have that access for $20, like a real basic problem, you know, okay, fine. I mean, you know, $40, like okay, I have something a little more issued. $60, okay, I need to talk to him 3 to 4 times a week, kind of thing. You need to add like a.
Reasonable. How do you like to pay for the bill, monthly or annually?
Monthly, like no contract monthly.
That depends on what the bill total's gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Depends. Can I get a discount if I pay up front?
Oh yeah, in addition, so
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah.
Like if I know I'm gonna use the service all year and I can pay for it up front all year. One, I have the means to pay for it up front all year, and I know I'm gonna use it up front all year. And you say, okay, well if you pay for the whole year, knock off like 5, 6, 7, 8%. Then yeah, I mean that would help.
Similar, like, my insurance, once I hit my out-of-pocket, I'm not hesitant to go to the hospital or a doctor, and like, if I think I need to, I go, but until I hit them, I'm like, should I, like, do I have the money to spend? So if it was like a pay up front, I wouldn't be afraid to go to the doctor, so that might also be a better option.
Okay. Would you consider subscribing annually service if we give you a like discount, like a 20%?
You already said yes.
Yeah, if it's significant.
Yeah. It's like a car insurance model, like if you pay annually, you get
Yeah, if it was worth it.
Okay, the last one. And would you consider to purchase our service if we provide you like financial options, like
Like, what do you mean?
you pay a little bit, you pay like in like 36 months or
Like financing.
Oh,
Yes.
financing options. I would prefer like a subscription model rather than like financing.
Yeah.
I would, well, it would depend, sorry, I'm being difficult.
The amount.
It would depend on the amount,
Yeah.
like how much total,
Mhm.
and then with financing, is there interest, which there usually isn't with medical bills. So that would depend, but I think just a flat rate, like, if you get, like, if you're doing like $20 a month, then I don't really see, like, for my household, financing, we would do that.
Yeah, if you have a subscription and you're financing the subscription, you have serious
You've got.
budget issues you need to go talk about with somebody, or a professional. Not like a budget professional or somebody like that, because if you're financing your healthcare, then you have a whole other issue that you need to talk about with somebody else.
Yeah.
Maybe a mental health professional might be down that road, so.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, guys.
could you
Thank you,
just
guys.
sign the
Yeah.